I have to pay to quit. I started my first corporate job early this year and have regretted the shift ever since. When I first joined, my team was hybrid. As the newbie, I was supposed to be fully in office until I earned remote privileges. Now that I've worked enough to not need help with any tax, my company pulls a full-time RTO mandate. I'm done with it. I was about to give my 2 weeks until I read in my contract that the employer must get an immediate payment of $10,000 if I leave within 1 year. This is to cover the relocation assistance 10, sign-on bonus 10, and the fees they paid a third-party company to recruit me and do onboarding work for them 80. I didn't even realize this third-party company had a role in the process until I looked through the HR software. So now I can't leave this job. But I also can barely afford my current living situation with the additional commute fees. I also have personal safety reasons why I took a hybrid position in the first place. I wanted a fully remote job to help me avoid stalking violence from a previous partner of mine. Now I can't afford to get that safety back. I hate the corporate world. I know this probably isn't what you want to hear, but before you ever sign any contracts, you have to read them. Do you have to pay it back if they fire you? Typically the answer is no. In that case, don't RTO and make them fire you. I'm pretty sure that unless the amount is specified in the contract, you'd have a case. Contact an employment attorney for advice? There might be a workaround. If your job is in the US, this is unenforceable. The contract is illegal. Since this is 10K, call your local state bar and ask for an employment law attorney reference in your area. Make an appointment, bring a copy of the contract, and ask their opinion. The cost will be minimal and you will know where you stand. This is a good opportunity to get a good attorney in your back pocket in case something goes off the rails. You could quit. Only show up to work a few days a week. If they challenge you, tell them you decided to change your hours. They are welcome to fire you. Does your contract say anything about being remote hybrid? You might be able to argue that their RTO mandate violates the terms of the employment contract, nullifying their $10,000 fee. My state has a law allowing workers to request reasonable safety accommodations in cases of domestic abuse and stalking. It might be worth looking into laws where you live. It sucks that you would have to disclose that very personal part of your life to your employer in order to get that protection. But get the information, weigh the pros and cons, and decide what makes sense for you. That really sucks. Please post the company's name, so we can shame them. Anything in the contract regarding WFH since they changed your primary expected work location? The relocation assistance and sign-on bonus bits sound fair, but check what you signed. But the cost of recruiting you? Nah, that just sounds like they are being dicks. Don't quit. Tell them you aren't going to comply with RTO policies and will continue to work under your original understanding of the job requirements. Let them fire you. Make them fire you, man. Shrugging. Just don't RTO and let them fire you. Are the remote privileges outlined on the same contract as well? Other than contacting a lawyer to see about getting out if it. A couple other ideas. 1. Look into some type of crashpad weekday shared living option and see if that is cheaper than your commute. Especially if you can sublet yours, put yours on Airbnb. 2. If you have a car, look into driving for Lyft Uber as part of your commute. I think those trap agreements were ruled illegal by FTC. Changing from fully remote to an office is a major change to the employment conditions. Could be interpreted as negating the contract. Consult with a lawyer, but you might not get the answer you like. Lesson learned. If a company wants you to pay something if you quit, they have had an issue with people quitting in the past. Red flag that the place sucks. Just work slower until they fire you. Stop working for this company but don't quit. If they fire you, oops. What about plan B? Make them fire you. What happens if you just act your wage? Unless there is a way you can prove their promise to WFH as part of your employment offer, then you could tell them they are in breach. Was that RTO mandate part of the contract? Talk to an employment attorney. I would be surprised if these terms were enforceable. The 20 and signing bonus and relocation assistance might be, as you presumably received that money. But forcing employees to pay for the cost of their own hiring through a third party is probably not. Did your contract state you were hybrid? If so, they are in breach of the contract, in which case it's void. I imagine they will have a very difficult time enforcing the recruiter fee either way. Did the contract talk about remote work? Work a year and a day. Talk to a lawyer, not to Reddit. It's possible you have to pay some of it back. But I have no idea. An employment lawyer is what you need now. Your position does suck. However, it's a corporate job. And you should have read the contract before accepting the job. No one wants to pay to leave. But I also would never make an agreement like that. In the future, you have to really read over contracts. So how many days till the year marker is past? Grit your teeth and then hand in your notice. No way out of it. How are they gonna make you pay it? Draft it from your bank account? Are they gonna report it to the credit bureau? Don't pay it, especially as you don't have it. Unless there is some way to enforce that you pay it. Fuck 'em. Don't quit then. Simple. However, that doesn't mean you have to go into work. Stay home job hunt, start somewhere else, let them fire you. Ha 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 ha. Yay, that's not enforceable. Tell 'em to sue you, lol. Or if you're actually worried, make 'em fire you. Sounds like fun to me personally. Time to get a lawyer to be sure that contract is valid, cause that doesn't sound legal. I had a similar deal but made my time. I've heard of guys basically leaving and say catch me if you can. Best you can do is check with a lawyer. If the placement agency was negotiating it with you up front, I don't see how the company can charge you. I've never heard of a company to stick someone with a recruiter's cost. That's fucked up. Everyone don't sign shit like that. I feel for you. I have the same stalking violence issues. I'll be honest, nobody cares. I don't have answers. Just sending you a big hug and hoping it will work out for you. You can always tell them that you joined because of the hybrid model. Either they give you a raise for coming in more open or you're working from home X number of days. If they don't like it and they fire you, you're off the hook for the 10K. Time to get let go with cause LMAO. Generally, anything that can be in any way conceived of forced labor, bondage, indented servitude or anything like that, it's unenforceable in the US and UK as far as I'm aware. Not a lawyer looked into it in the UK, where in theory I would have to repay my college fees if I left within X number of years. But many colleagues did and faced no ramifications due to the above-mentioned items. They wrote about the payment in the agreement. Did they also write about the WFH policy in the agreement? This is a contract. You have to deal with it. This seems pretty sus. Pretty sure there's zero way anything is enforceable. Simply going by what you've written. Nobody wants to work anymore pulling knives out of back. This is just a scare tactic. Completely enforceable if you live in the US.